a little bit nicer today. The sunshine really made a huge difference.
It did. It sure did.
The sun, man, the sun and the wind.
Yeah, the winds were not as bad. It was,
No, it was a little breezy, but it wasn't blustery like it was yesterday. No 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts today, that's for sure. And, you know, yesterday we ended up with a little bit of snow, and that puts us at 0.3 for snow for the month of December. Of course, we only have a few more days left, and right now we're at almost an inch below what we typically would be seeing by this time of the month for December. Now, as far as rain is concerned, we've had a little over 2 inches, and that puts us almost about 3/4 above average, and we could certainly still use the rain. This is our latest drought monitor. It comes out every Thursday, but yesterday we were so busy, didn't really show it a whole lot. We did have some improvements across eastern and southeast Oklahoma, but we are still very much in a deficit, really across the rest of the state, with several locations still in that exceptional category, and this time that's not a good thing. As far as snow is concerned for Christmas, a lot of people want to see that white Christmas, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen this year. Now, in 1914, we had 6.5 inches, and back in 2012, we had a little over 1/2 inch, and we had a trace back in 2007. That's the latest. Well, 2012, of course, we had 0.6, but this year it looks like it's going to be a dry Christmas, and it doesn't look nearly as cold as what we've been experiencing these past couple of days. This morning, we ended up at 4 degrees in Oklahoma City, but there were several locations across the Northeast and also out in the Panhandle where we ended up several degrees below zero. This morning we ended up in the upper single digits really across the South, and we've come a long way since then. So far, we've been in the upper teens for most locations. This is our Enid camera, part of our Pike Pass Skycam network. You can still see some of that snow on the ground. 18 degrees, a northwest wind at 16, so it does feel more like 3 degrees. Temperatures generally in the mid and upper teens across much of the state. We still have some low 20s across the far south and mid 20s right now in Altus, but factoring in that northwest wind, anywhere between 10 to 20 miles an hour, it still feels like the single digits across much of the state. Of course, the luckiest bunch in the southwest, it still feels more like the mid-teens. Now, the big picture just kind of showing that cyclone that brought us the brutally cold weather the past couple of days, that continues to spin across the New England states while the high pressure is building over the central and southern plains. And we're going to continue to see pretty quiet conditions over the next couple of days. It's still going to be cold, but we are going to see some improvement. Now, the thing is, we have another cold front on the way. It looks like it's going to arrive sometime by early Monday morning, but it's not going to be anything like the cold front that we had yesterday. In fact, we're going to have a wind shift. The wind's going to shift back to the north and west by Monday, but temperatures are going to be cold Monday night, but by Tuesday, we're climbing to closer to normal, and we're going to stay there for a couple of days. By the time we get into Thursday, temperatures climbing well into the 50s and possibly even the 60s in parts of the state. Watching this next storm system as we get closer to the New Year. So if you have any holiday plans for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, just make sure you keep an eye on this one. This time, though, it does look warm enough that whatever we do get would be in the form of plain rain. So now we're talking rain and storms, but some of the data trying to keep that in far eastern Oklahoma, but it's still several days out, so we're going to fine tune it as we get closer. Behind that, temperatures do drop off a little bit, but it still doesn't look terribly cold. So now we're just kind of comparing everything to what we had last time. Everything looks much better from here on out. Temperatures tonight pretty much dropping down a couple of degrees by about 9 o'clock, 14 degrees, kind of stay there for quite a while. By 10, I think we're still going to be at about 14, but by tomorrow morning, eventually dropping down to about 8 degrees here in Oklahoma City, the upper single digits across the north and the low teens across the far south. Tonight in the metro, we're talking 7 in Chandler, 8 in Shawnee, 7 in Yukon, and about 7 degrees tomorrow morning in Mustang. Tomorrow afternoon, Christmas Eve, I think we're going to hit about freezing, still a lot colder in the northeast, but mid and upper 30s in the southwest. And Christmas Day, mid 40s across the west, 41 degrees in Oklahoma City, and the mid 30s in parts of northeast Oklahoma. And then after that, it only gets better. About 60 degrees by Wednesday and the low 60s on Thursday.